Welcome back. Our next story takes us to second grade, where we meet teacher Aubrey Thorne. In the evening, Aubrey sings in a band, but back at school, she's a rock star too. This is because Aubrey rocks at building a community of learners. Aubrey sets high expectations for her students, and she empowers them with an I can attitude. But she also knows every once in a while, some students need extra help in order to be successful. Aubrey provides additional support to students by intervening in a seamless manner. Aubrey's instruction appears so effortless, her students are often unaware that they are receiving any help. This process of in-class teaching intervention can happen because Aubrey has created an environment built upon mutual respect and positive behavior. Educators call this a responsive classroom. In her own words, we hear what a typical school day is like in Aubrey Thorne's second grade classroom.
Today, boys and girls, we're ready to start our morning meeting. We start every day with a morning meeting. In general, it's a way for me to build our classroom community and build respect between each other and between me and them, learn about each other.
Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Chloe.
So the morning meeting has 4 parts to it. First, the greeting. As much as I can, I like to integrate other areas of curriculum, so I integrated addition within the greeting. The second part of the morning meeting is the sharing piece. The third part of the morning meeting is an activity, some sort of game usually. We're learning about 2-digit numbers, so I stuck a sticky note on their back with a secret mystery 2-digit number, and they had to ask the rest of the kids questions until they figured out the number. The last part of the morning meeting is the message part. I usually try to give them some information about what we're going to be doing. With all those parts together, it helps us build our community. It just leads to a happier day and more successful, and they learn the social aspects of being at school, how to treat somebody and what to do if there's a misunderstanding, just how to deal with the social part of everyday school. Differentiation is critical to meeting the needs of all my students. After the focus lesson, we move on to our guided reading and language arts centers. The children go to their centers and they might be working on some sort of written practice that goes along with the focus lesson where they're practicing what they learned. I like to do in those written practice types of centers a lot of open-ended activities because that allows for the students to work at their own level. If I give them an open-ended assignment, it's much easier for, let's say, an advanced student who only put partial effort into it. It's much easier for me to say, go back and do more. Aside from those kind of centers, I have word study. The way I got the words that they're working on is I did an inventory in the beginning of the year that showed me what features that they were already able to spell in words and what features they needed to work on. And that gave me a base of what word study list they needed to start on. So there are at least 4 different sets of words that are going on in the classroom so that each student has the list of words that are on their level. They do different activities with these words throughout the week. They're working with them at least 4 out of 5 days and they're sorting them and working with them and then doing follow-up activities where they're practicing spelling the words. I also have computer centers going on in my room where they are working on Mayan. I also have a lot of buddy reading, partner work, group work going on during that time so they can practice the oral language together and practice fluency and working with another person, which also leads to more engagement. Today we're going to read a book called Swoop. It's kind of a tricky word to pronounce, so let's practice it. My definition for intervention is when quality, core instruction, and differentiation is not reaching a child. It's the next step for what they need beyond that to help them understand the concept. I know students need additional support when after my lessons and after activities they've done during centers, after I look over those and take notes, make observations, I can tell that they still have not understood the concept. Or if I'm reading with them and I'm asking them questions and they're unable to answer the questions, I know they need something extra. I think this is a new word for you. This word is magpie. magpie. If you break it into two parts, it's easy to read. Mag and pie, magpie. All right, so those are the two new words that I wanted you to know before we started. Swoop and magpie. So now we're going to go back to the beginning, and you're going to whisper read, but loud enough so I can hear you. So as the students are reading, I am listening. I'm listening to make sure that they are getting the phonic piece correct, and then I'm also listening for fluency. And then at the end of their reading, I'll be asking them questions, and that helps me determine what the next steps are. So I chose this book in particular for this group because I know from past observations that they need to work on making deeper connections. They're able to make surface level connections, but I'm going to try to pull deeper connections from them using this story. One of the students in the group, beforehand, I pulled her up by herself to front load some of the vocabulary that I thought would be new to her, tricky for her. Past anecdotal records, after analyzing them, I realized that she was having difficulty figuring out decoding multisyllabic words. And so one of my interventions for her is front-loading multisyllabic words and having her clap them out so that she gets the chunks of the words. She's working on getting the blends and the chunks faster. So I'm front-loading those words so that she is aware of them, so when she gets to them in the guided reading group, it's not slowing her down, and she has a strategy for figuring them out. My students, they are not aware that they are receiving an intervention. It's seamless and it flows within our day. I don't believe that an intervention has to be a specific program or something that you're taking them aside to do. It's something that flows within the lesson so that they don't know. I'm trying to build their self-efficacy. So I want them to be confident about what they're doing and know that they can do it rather than feel like, oh my goodness, my teacher has to pull me up this extra time because I don't know. I'm not having to plan a million different things. I'm just fitting it in with what we're already doing. So now the rest of the kids are continuing to work in their centers. I've finished the two children interventions that I wanted to do with them, and so now I'm just moving on to my next guided reading group. This next group is working at a DRA 20, and from observations and from running records, I've realized that they need to work on figuring out the author's purpose behind a story. Out of my 23 students, 2 are receiving the intervention. With the good core instruction and differentiation, it leads to only a few needing that extra intervention. My tips would be that the intervention happens in the classroom when possible because you know your children the best. It decreases transition time, which means that there's more time spent on task. The students have more time on the actual learning within your classroom. I also suggest pinpointing a specific target need for the students who need intervention and focusing on that. And then in the classroom, you can easily monitor whether or not they're making progress on that skill. When I plan for the intervention, I want to make it as seamless and simple as I possibly can. I want it to flow within our day. When we're building that community and respect, I build in throughout the year. I show them that everybody has different needs in different areas of life during the school day, and I try to explain to them that everybody needs something different. So you might see me working with this child for math, you might see me working with this one for language arts, and you might see me helping this one tie their shoes. So everybody needs something different. And so it's so seamless, it's so routine that they don't even realize that something different is going on. It's just what happens every single day for everyone.